Into the side of the mic.
This is the side of the mic.
I know. I'm just joking. I'm just joking.
Don't you know about the bird? Hey, everybody knows that the bird is a word. Bird's a word.
Can we just open with this? With George just jamming it out? Bird is the. Can I just hit record?
I think it is recording.
Welcome everybody to Bobby Talks, ... Those dots are there to tell you that there's always more to the story. Today I'm sitting with, well, an old friend and a new friend. I got Matthew Porter and Nate Adams from The Only Critic sitting here with me today on episode 22 of the new season, third episode of the new season. And we're here to talk the movies.
Always.
Talking Oscars. We're going to have some fun today. We're going to actually talk about some actors. I wanted to kind of play a game with you if we can. We're going to break down Steven Spielberg's best pictures and a lot more as always and touch base on all those things. But how you guys doing? How you doing, man? Welcome to the show.
Not too bad. I'm excited to be here. Nate's told me a lot of great things, and I've been watching. I've been seeing things. It's really exciting.
I appreciate you coming on Bobby Talks, ... Hey, by the way, a little business real quick. Follow, like, subscribe. Hit that subscribe button. Do whatever you have to do. Nate, welcome back. You are a record holder so far. This is your third time on the show, man.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I gotta carry your show sometimes.
Oh my goodness! Look at this guy.
I gotta, you call and I can't say no.
Dude,
star.
Nate's feeling himself right now.
He is. He's confident.
He's been looking at his logo over here.
Great logo.
He's got the graphic. He's like talking all about how clean and crisp that website looks.
I mean, look at the back. I mean,
Let's talk
happy
about
to
that.
be here.
So let's talk real quick about your Only Critic. Let's do a little plugging here. Onlycritic.com.
Yes.
These gentlemen.
Matthew also contributes. He's done some stuff too, and he's a good writer. He's a good writer.
Thank you.
What I like about these two guys is that, and you have to check them out, they are talking about building up their next season of Picks and Pans podcast.
Yes.
And that's when I started hearing your voice. Didn't know who you were at the time. And what I love about it is there really is a soothing, just calmness to the way you speak, but it's very educated and knowledgeable on the topics.
It balances me out.
And
Thank
it
you.
does. You guys have a really good yin and yang.
He has a lot of energy. I receive that from him.
He's the Siskel to my Ebert.
That's what we try to be. I mean, I don't know about that, but I think I'm
Well,
more of an
I think
Ebert.
I think I'm a little more generous on movies than you are. Roger was really generous. You're kind of harsh sometimes.
Roger was generous.
He would give movies like Garfield 3 stars out of 4.
But that's because he's kind of looking at the totality of not the totality, but where it fits in movie.
Well, it's
space.
just I look at it as I like things like Underwater, and I like I like things that are obscure.
You like bad things.
That Matthew hates.
You like terrible movies.
So yeah,
I love you, Nate. No, I think we balance each other out. Definitely.
It's good. And then there's that lightning strikes when we're both, and we'll get into this a little later, but we were both pretty much in sync with where we wanted the Oscars to go this year, which is very rare.
And I want to get into that space if we can. We'll do that in a little bit, but let's. I want to start off with a fun little game. It's something I was thinking about today when I was driving on my way to work, and I was thinking, I've got the show tonight. What can we kind of do to spice up the topics a little bit? Because you and I, we come on, we talk movies, and for us, it's very passionate. We love it. I know the same as for you. But I kind of thought it would kind of be fun. So there's this idea. The game is what? It's marry.
Who do you want to marry? Who do you want to kill? Who do you want to have sex with?
Right. Yeah. So I thought the idea with I thought the idea with our actor route would be I want to kind of come up with main actor, supporting actor, and somebody that's only going to be able to be in 2 scenes, 3 scenes that might steal the show. Right. The cameo that might steal the show.
Hannibal Lecter who has 17 minutes of screen time and ends up winning an Oscar.
Winning an Oscar. That's a very good reference right there. So the idea is let's play casting, right?
Yeah.
I'm going to give you 3 names. Somebody has to be the movie that you build it around. The other person is the supporting actor, and you have to make an argument as to why you chose that person versus being the movie or the one that you build the movie around. And then the third one is that cameo performance, okay?
Okay.
And these are all going to be, this is obviously going to be big names to start this because it's the first edition of this, okay?
Okay.
We're going to go Tom Hanks.
Ooh. Nate's favorite.
We're going to go Denzel Washington.
Oh, man.
And we're going to go Meryl Streep. And I'm going to let Nate start off with how you would order things. Who's the main character that you're building the movie around? Who's going to be your supporting actor, and who's the cameo, and why?
I know your answer already.
You know maybe you don't know my answer.
1000%.
And then we'll kind of debate how these things go. Go ahead.
So I guess the question is like, who's arguably the still like kind of like at that and that like right now, or is this? Are we talking 1990?
We're talking
bucks?
right
like,
now,
right
2021. They've got all their clout, all their they're all A-listers. But right now, who can bring $1 in?
I'm gonna give it to Denzel.
Okay.
I think Denzel's the lead. Yeah, I know. Throwing you for a loop. I think Denzel. He's more. I don't know. He's just kind of. He's an everyman. I mean, so is Tom Hanks. These are all everyman. Woman, Meryl Streep too. That you're giving me. So that's a wealth of riches, and I think
the movie should do well, right?
That movie it should kill. It should be like blockbuster hit.
And I've never seen Denzel. He's acted opposite against Tom Hanks before because they were in Philadelphia together.
Right. Yep.
So I think just to keep it interesting, I would cast Meryl Streep opposite Denzel just to kind of see what that dynamic would be.
Interesting, yeah.
And then Tom Hanks is like
Tom Hanks and Meryl Streep. Now they were in Post together.
They were in the Post together by Steven Spielberg. Yes.
Yep.
And then I think Hanks gets the one guy in we in A Few Good Men where it's like we know the general who comes in. He's like, I know he ordered the code red. That's the Tom Hanks. Hanks is that.
Okay, fair enough.
I don't know what I wouldn't mind it be a remake of A Few Good Men. Honestly, think about that.
Oh wow,
I can see something. That's a good idea.
Maybe Tom Hanks is Jack Nicholson and Denzel.
You pound to the truth.
Yeah,
Hollywood, are you listening? I mean, come on.
I mean, Few Good Men is about as. I mean, I love Sorkin. He came up empty-handed on the Oscars.
He did.
But he's won before.
But you knew that was going to happen. So
I hope I was anxious to see maybe it wouldn't, but it did. So.
Matthew, give me your order how you would be, and then we'll debate this a little bit at the end.
This is tricky. I think we would be similar in one sense. I would only switch. It would be Meryl as the central character because I don't know. I can't get enough of Meryl Streep. She's fantastic, and even in things that she knows I feel like are going to be bad, she's like one of those actors who comes and she's like, no, I'm going to commit the entire time.
Right.
Like if this is bad, I'm sinking with this ship.
Yep.
Which is like,
which you gotta love.
Such respect for that. It's like, what was that one rocker movie she did where she was like what I'm talking about.
Oh my gosh, yes.
And it was like hysterical. I saw it looked like drag she was in.
I don't even remember.
I know what you're talking about.
She was like, it was like her Freaky Friday type look.
Ricky Lane?
Yes.
Ricky Lane and something or others.
Yeah, it was her music movie. It was like her rocker movie.
I sort of remember that.
I saw the, remember seeing the posters.
And that's all you need to do is sort of remember it. No, because she knew, and it's like, but she went there and she went down with it into the woods. Like, not to say that I love the musical. I didn't think the movie was all that great, but she commits. She goes for it. So she would be the central character for me. And then I think Denzel should be a love interest. I think that would be really interesting.
Meryl Streep and Denzel Washington.
Yes, I think it would be I think they would have such chemistry. Denzel is so charming too.
And he can flaunt with anybody.
He has chemistry with a stick. And
then I think and you're thinking Tom Hanks.
And then Tom Hanks again too. Yeah, he can pop in and he
because
he
never does those roles anymore. He doesn't do those.
He doesn't do bad guys either. I'd love to see Tom Hanks be like an.
Well, did you see The Circle with Emma Watson?
That was he was a villain.
He was a villain in that, which was recent. But it wasn't very good. It wasn't very messy.
I think there's something.
It had a crazy cast. It Emma Watson, John Boyega, Tom Hanks was this. He played like a Steve Jobs tech giant who was like trying to control the world with technology.
I think he's a lot like, and this is I should say the other way around. But
Bill Paxton's last role too.
Bob Odenkirk.
His last role.
Bill Paxton. Yeah.
I compare. I think Bob Odenkirk is similar in the sense that like when he did all this comedy right with Mr. Show, and he was known as a comedian. Yeah, he's known as a comedian, and then he starts doing serious roles, and you're like, this works. I think that. It's not that Tom Hanks has done a bunch of comedies, but he's done all these like I'm the good man.
You forget that he can do comedy.
Or he's a comedy, and also he's a good man. So
Liam
it's
Neeson did it too, man. Liam Neeson wasn't always this action star. He's just had this late career just really took off, and he just went into that niche.
Yeah, like his career really
Schindler's
became
List.
Something after like what 55?
Yeah,
is when it really became a star.
And we forget, and people forget. It's like, do you forget this guy was in Schindler's List, and like he does something like Ordinary Love, which came out 2 years ago, which was a cancer drama about his wife going through, and it's like such a somber, intimate intimate drama. People are like, why is he doing this? It's like, do you realize like he used to do stuff that was more like raw and dramatic?
So what are you saying, Matt? Then you're thinking that it'd be something if Tom would go back to his roots a little bit?
No, I want him to
started?
be. I kind of want him to be like a bit of a psycho or something. I want to see Tom Hanks
kind of
take
like
a
Robin
turn.
Williams kind of took that turn a
Yeah,
little bit.
I want to see him
where-
take a big turn because so far
Robin
he's just done
Williams.
like real roles, or he's like a really nice guy that we love. He's Mr. Rogers, right?
You're okay.
And that was a supporting role. Like he did take it. That movie was misleading, but they still built the film around him because they knew he was the
Well,
draw.
yeah, you have to too.
But you
have
see
to.
the film, and it's like,
Well,
oh,
it's
it's
like
really a movie about a father-son. Really
Yes, yeah.
Mending the so great movie.
Yeah, there's an interesting moment in that movie. We don't have to talk about it right now. We'll
A
get
Beautiful
off
Day in the
topic.
Neighborhood.
Yeah, yes. To me, it was the moment that kind of was like, okay, this movie does have another layer to it, and it's that moment when he was talking about. He asked him, "Don't you ever get tired
Yeah.
of being so perfect?" And you can see Tom Hanks in his eyes, just in that 5-10 seconds of way he's communicating his reluctancy to answer it honestly, and then he gives the politically correct answer. But like, there's the whole nonverbal of everything that he's feeling, right?
Yeah.
Tom Hanks always knows the assignment, but he's always given the same assignment. You know what I mean?
He's playing, and
It's
I like
drama
this,
and it's high stakes.
Yes.
Did you see News of the World?
Yes.
Yeah, I
yes.
love News of the World.
Yes, love news. But we're not actually saying that Tom Hanks plays the same character.
No, not the same exact character. I feel
Because
that
I would argue Denzel's more of a typecast than Tom Hanks is.
he performs.
Denzel's Denzel in everything Denzel does. Tom Hanks is different layers, different characters.
He didn't get a lot of like great. I feel like Denzel didn't get a lot of great opportunities to be him. Well, he talks about like the period that he feels a lot of like black actors go through, you know, of like getting offered only gangster roles or getting offered
Sure.
only all these things.
And he's also
so,
the only African American actor that I know that has 2 Oscars.
exactly.
So-
So, it's like
Fair enough.
So it's like eventually, but no, I think Tom Hanks. It's not that he plays the same role. It's just that it's always like the same. We always are rooting for him. He's always a protagonist in some way.
Yeah. I would
And I
actually.
think he knows that. He knows it too. He knows it's
I want to
his
see him
image.
be the antagonist.
It's the same reason
Check
why.
out The Circle. Check it out.
I will. I
The
have to
movie's
watch it.
it's flat.
Yes.
It didn't have as much.
But
depth
he was
as it should've.
trying.
Oh yeah.
And he's always
To
trying.
his
And I think
point.
it's the same thing. It's a Jim Carrey element to it because like.
Oh, now we're going somewhere.
Yeah.
Well, because people like Jim Carrey is Jim Carrey, and then you're like, why the hell is he gonna be the villain in Sonic? And I'll tell you why. It's because he knows
he can.
No, it's not that he can. It's because he wants to reintroduce himself to the next generation because
Yep.
he wants to stay relevant. He knows his brand. Same with Tom Hanks. He knows he needs to be the leading hero, and he wants to do that. Denzel Washington didn't. So Inside Man. Well, since we're on the Denzel, the Spike Lee film from 2005, which great film. Have you seen it?
Yeah, a long time ago.
Yeah.
Absolutely. That's got
Clive Owen, Jodie
Clive Owen.
Foster,
That was like my
Willem
introduction to
Dafoe,
Clive,
Christopher Plummer.
Spike Lee, man.
Crazy
We got to talk
cast.
about Five Bloods and the Oscars too.
And so they gave Denzel the script, Spike Lee did, and they said they gave him the option, him or Clive Owen's, like, do you want to play the bank robber or do you want to play the detective? And Denzel didn't want to play the bank robber because most of the film his face is covered.
Right.
Denzel knows that he wants his face to be out there because he wants people to see him. And so if you watch that movie, they actually added clips because Clive Owen said the same thing. He's like, this bank robber, he has his face covered the whole time.
Clive Owen was so good in that role.
But if you notice, there's that beginning tracking shot where he's like, I'm going to tell you the who, the how. That's because they added that because they were like, there's not enough of
Interesting.
me.
They did. Okay.
Because, so they know their image.
You got to
They
think
know what
about
they're
their
going
teams,
for.
though, too. I mean, I think about their managers, their publicists, their
Right,
agents, who are
right,
all like
right.
trying to rebrand them constantly.
Correct.
Yeah.
So, but
isn't
Tom
that
Hanks
the
is
kind
on
of
it.
the part where it's like, as a director, or where you're sitting there like, come on, dude,
Yeah.
come on. Especially if you're like a Sorkin or like, some of these.
You're trying to make
it's
art.
Like you're trying to make art, but you're also trying to make a collaboration. So you're trying to make all parties happy, but at the
Yeah.
same time, it could be at the sacrificing of your artistic
Well,
vision.
the Safdie brothers really had to push Adam Sandler's leg to get him to be in Uncut Gems.
Yes, I heard
and
that,
it wasn't.
yeah.
They approached him at a premiere of a film and like, we wanted to do this, and he was like, no.
Yeah.
And
Wasn't he terrified of it though?
Yeah, and his agent was like, we're
Understandably.
not doing this. But
Yeah.
then he watched Good Time, the film that they did, and he texted him. He's like, no, I want to do this. And it's like, but like he had the best reviews of his career.
I hope he gets another shot, but he
He's-
was
Spaceman is coming out, and the cast, Carey Mulligan's going to be in it. Paul Dano's going to be in it. I don't know what this is yet. I don't know if it's a comedy.
I love Paul
I don't
Dano.
know if it's another broad Adam Sandler comedy or if it's, I don't know.
You know this. One of my favorite movies of all time, if it used to be when people ask me what was my favorite movie, is Ruby Sparks, which Zoe Kazan wrote, and that's Paul
Yeah.
Dano is her husband.
Paul Dano, yeah. Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah, I did not.
And the
know
Adam
that.
Sandler conversation we can have another day, but you wonder why, like Carey Mulligan, Paul Dano, like all these big names. It's because even though his movies are always bad, people love to work with him because his sets are always so fun. It's just light.
I don't know if his movies are always bad though.
It's- they're always appealing so broadly.
I think the last decade of comedies he's made.
I'm a Hubie
have-
Halloween stan. Hubie Halloween.
That was great.
Yeah,
that was
and
great.
Halloween.
That the whole premise was
We
great.
hadn't had like a good Halloween comedy in a long time.
no,
either.
and I thought that's good. That's going to be in there
It's
for
every week, every year
years.
I'll watch it.
I have to watch it this coming year because I couldn't get in the mood.
It has that
Ernest
fall
Halloween.
vibe.
It's got
I
a
love
whole
it.
thing for it.
Yeah, sorry.
Let me give you mine real quick because we
Yes.
spent a little longer on this than I thought, but that's great. That's fine. So I disagree with you guys.
Oh.
I'm going Meryl Streep in my cameo.
Oh.
And I think she's got that type of like powerful.
And
pull.
she's done those before.
She
She'll
can-
show up in
she
Little
can-
Women. She'll show up in.
She can eat it up in
Yep.
the scene, the
Eat
scenery.
it up. She can ham it. I mean, she can do whatever is
Big Little
asked of her.
Lies. She does a lot of small
That
stuff.
woman
I'm
makes
definitely
a
doing.
meal.
I'm definitely doing a drama.
Yeah, of course.
You definitely are doing a drama, right?
Could you imagine doing a comedy?
But hey, that might work,
might be
right?
It'd be a
interesting.
remake of See No Evil, Hear No Evil with Gene Kelly and Richard Pryor. That would be it.
great.
Yeah.
I think when it comes down to Hanks in Washington, it's more of who do you put
Man,
more.
I can just see that on the poster.
looks
Hanks,
so good.
Washington.
That's the
They just
poster
need their
read, right?
last name, and that's it.
That's the poster.
Yeah.
See, that's what I see, right? That's the headline. Because as much as I love Meryl Streep, she's an actor's actor, right? All
Of
three of
course.
them really are. But when it comes to like big market, just the casual viewer, if you were to say, who do you know, at least Meryl Streep is the last person they know out of that three.
Probably.
For sure.
Depending on, I mean,
I guess depending on
now it depends on. I feel like it used to be that way, but now entertainment has exploded the way that we see things. And she's been, you could argue that for a while she was more like consistent than Tom Hanks for a while
But even
there.
when name a movie of hers where it's just been marketed around just Meryl Streep.
Devil Wears Prada.
Yeah.
That's the only one I can think of.
Doubt was the,
No. That was a
Well, that was
Yeah.
Philip
Pretty-
Seymour Hoffman, which, want to talk about Oscars, Viola Davis, 8 minutes of screen time nominated for an Oscar.
That was the exact
Yeah.
person I was thinking of when
Yeah.
I came up with this game.
Yeah.
Was her that
8
bench
minutes.
scene, right?
Viola's
8 minutes.
incredible.
Incredible.
Oscar nomination.
I think Meryl Streep could do that. I think
Yeah.
all of them could, right? But like the whole idea is I want Hanks, I want Washington.
But I hear what you're saying.
still think
Well,
they're more
the Ricky
marketable.
Lane movie, with that Ricky and the Jets, is that what
Whatever
it
it
was?
was, it was
Yeah.
insane.
This is gonna bug me, but you're right. Those are the kind of films that were marketed on her. Where
We've
it's just
got a
like
computer
Streep.
here. We
Yeah.
can look. No, but I feel what you're saying. I think that Meryl is like she's just a chameleon. She can do whatever she needs to do and become whoever she needs to.
Ricky and the Flash.
Ricky and the
There it
Flash.
is.
I knew it was Ricky something.
Yeah.
She is a chameleon there. So I think I'm definitely going with her in my cameo. My preference of the three is Tom Hanks. I think he does.
He's likable.
He's likable, but I think he's done more as far as range of character.
That's
right?
fair.
But I still think now in 2021, I think Denzel Washington is the more
you
marketable
see- and
name
yeah.
until Tom Hanks says, "Hey guys, I can do this."
And then you see
right?
the little things, and it's like, oh, it's just Denzel playing the police detective he's played in
Right.
7 other movies.
Right.
It's
And-
like Jared Leto got the flashier role.
He did, and I actually think Jared Leto is the only thing you're going to remember about that. Whole
I agree.
movie.
Like, and the thing is, and people were kind of baffled, like when he started getting some awards momentum. He got like the SAG nomination, the Golden Globe, and like Jared Leto, and it reminded me, it's like it's not a bad performance. It's like he's doing something, and you're right, it's memorable. Freddie Got Fingered.
Freddie Got Fingered.
Just watch
Oh my
that
gosh.
again. That movie is vile.
Would you
and
like some sausage,
What-
Denny?
I-
Denny, would you like some sausage? Isn't that from that movie?
Yes, that movie was vile. And Roger Ebert actually said something about it. He was reviewing he hated it, panned it. But then 2 years later, he was reviewing another Tom Green film, and he's like, I still remember this movie.
There's something to that.
Yeah.
That's
And
something
so-
like that's like Midsummer. It's not the same for me. Like, not to say that it's bad, but like I don't know if Midsummer is good. I just know that it's stuck with me because of how like
The scene in A
visceral
Ghost
it
Story,
was.
we talked about that with the pie.
Yeah.
It's like 5 minutes of Rooney Mara just woofing down a pie.
We talked about Midsummer last summer.
We did.
Yeah.
In Midsummer's opening
2 summers
scene,
ago.
2 summers ago. My gosh,
I
you're
know.
right.
Last summer we skipped, so
You're right.
I get your. Yeah.
That opening 5 minutes.
It's a short film.
It's a
Like,
short
the whole
film.
opening.
It's phenomenal. I mean,
unreal.
It hits you. So like to
The
me,
score, and it's just like the wording, just
Yeah.
everything was
We
fine
watched
detail.
short films, by the way, for the Oscars this time. I don't know if Nate told you our whole plan for the
No.
Oscars. So everyone in our like immediate friend group has been vaccinated and it's been 2 weeks. So we were like, we can get together.
We got in a pool. We got our, what do they call a bubble? We got in our bubble.
We got in our little bubble, our little pod. But we went over to Nate's and we said, we're going to watch, at least T and I especially, we're like, let's try to watch as much of it, everything else that we don't see as often, like right now.
Because everything was so readily available.
The live action shorts, and we watched the animated shorts.
You actually went down the road of all the things.
We watched the shorts, and I was telling him about this. It's like, man, why didn't we never watch the shorts before?
So
because
worth it.
They were
Could not
so
recommend it
great,
more.
and it's like it'll
Especially
always
right now.
it'll always be now every year. It'll be part of our Oscar.
I was thinking about
conversation.
this.
Awesome, yeah.
This is for everyone because it feels like a movie aesthete, or it seems like something really highbrow to do.
I never thought they were real films. I was like, oh, they're shorts. They're not real films.
And also, but no,
and
I was considered 89 minutes or less.
It's 40 minutes.
40 minutes
or
or
less.
less.
Is a short.
Okay.
I couldn't have been more wrong. They're great, and
Yeah.
And that's the other thing is that our attention span with like TikTok, with all these
This-
social
this
media
is more
websites,
where it
has
should
gone right down, like, right. So it's like, and not to like say anything about that, whatever that needs to be the cultural conversation, it is what it is. But like, if you're going to watch a 30-minute movie or a 20-minute movie, you're going to get more people in.
And we watched one. We might as well play Feeling Through.
Oh my goodness.
First film featuring
Ever.
a deaf and blind actor.
not first Oscar nominated, the first film ever recorded.
First cinematic thing ever captured on a film that featured a deaf and blind.
Deaf and blind.
Blind and deaf
was in
actor,
the film, and probably our favorites of the shorts.
We wanted it to win. We really wanted it to win.
And then we saw an animated short. It was called. I'm sorry. Is it okay?
okay.
Very touchy today. They both got vaccinated, so they're like, hey, we get
It's been a few weeks, so we're real comfy.
Opera. I always say opera.
Opera.
Sorry,
You keep
it's not
calling it
about
Oprah.
Opera, which
Ooh, you're getting a school.
Yeah, you go to school. Oh,
like
opera is
we had this
intense.
conversation while we were watching this about like the medium of animation.
Oh, it's intense.
And how it's like we associate it with children and kids fair, right?
That's our country, America. We associate it with children.
But we're watching this
Right.
thing, and it's like what it was a South Korea USA collaboration. What they accomplish, I can't even explain it. I don't even want to give it away. But it's like it's
like 12 minutes.
12 minutes, and there's so much happening. It's like a patriarchy, and you're like, there's 15 different things happening all at once.
There's like a hierarchy of society, and they just like scroll down it, and you see
Scrolls
animated
down,
like all
little
these
like
different
stick
rooms.
figures doing different things.
Interesting.
And it blew my mind. I've seen it 4 or 5 times.
Well, you know that gentleman. So one of the best things that the Adrian Film Festival has presented is that, and I can't pronounce his name, but is that R.J.
Cutler?
No, the gentleman from Australia that did Irony. And Mike Neal and I talked about this on the last episode. But the first year of the film festival, you and I were animated judges.
Yes.
And he did the social media.
That's right.
And he just did another one called Painted by Numbers, which is a play on society.
really good.
And he's phenomenal, man.
He'll be
He's
nominated for an Oscar one day.
22, 23 years old, way above his time, or way ahead of his age.
And that's what the
range.
film festival thing can do.
That's insane.
He's 4-0 at the Adrian Film Festival, which, you know, it is what it is.
We're building up. I think once we start getting back into the line, we got
to get past these like speed bumps, right?
Yeah, and it's also just curating a stronger lineup because
Yes.
like I was a judge for the features, and it's just like they were just weak.
Yeah.
But
it was a weak year. A lot of people weren't making
and so that's why it's no
films,
fault. It was just hard to grade because like there were just some bad stuff, and so I'm hoping we can start curating and we can get a better lineup. But Mike does a great job.
He was phenomenal. We're referring to Mike Neal. You guys saw him on the last
deserves
episode.
all the credit for
hey.
everything that he does for that festival. He's a rock star.
All right, so we've all kind of you two had similar answers. I had Tom Hanks as the supporting and Denzel. So let's transition to the Oscars.
Please.
And before we
boy.
talk about the 2021 Oscars, I want you to tell me what is it about the Oscars that like you love? What is it that draws besides just the movies? And I mean, because there's obviously the MTV Awards, right? Movie awards. There's the Oscars. There's the SAGs. What is it about the Oscars that feels different, that you like, that is that maybe your earliest memories? Like, what is it that draws you to the Oscars, and why does it feel so mysterious or mystical compared to some of these other ones?
I think it's just because it's the only major ceremony that was broadcasted everywhere. It was national TV, and it's like the only way that we really celebrate films.
It feels like the Olympics for film.
Yes,
It's a great answer. Yeah.
And if something you like are really passionate about is nominated. It's like you get behind it and you get excited. And me and Matthew have talked about this. I think though, and this year especially really proved it. It's like I'm not getting so beholden to Oscar statues anymore because it just seems like no matter what, we're always going to be upset at what won versus what did win. It's like, did Frances McDormand need a third Oscar when Viola Davis was sitting right there?
But did she deserve it?
Did she earn it?
So that's the question. And we'll get into the snubs and the surprises in a minute, but I know it's like, Vanessa Kirby was my favorite performance of the year, and she was nominated. But it's like, you got to remember, it is just an honor to be nominated. That means that you did have some love in the community.
That's what the losers say.
Yeah.
No, kidding. Yeah, of course.
No,
of course.
And a lot of the movies that I love, like The Surrogate, favorite movie last year, didn't even come close to getting any award or an Oscar. I mean, it got a lot of love in like the indie community.
There's some trivial politics, like there's everything in life.
It's campaigning.
Yeah, there's politics to a lot of what wins, and so I feel like you have to just be able to enjoy the spirit of the night.
Yeah.
And enjoy it. And it's hard.
And it's nice to see the stars and nice to see everybody just kind of having fun.
But what makes it different than Critics' Choice Award or SAG? Like,
it just carries more weight.
Career,
it's
yeah.
Because
is it just because of the longevity of it?
It's because we as society put so much weight into it.
You almost beatbox there for a second.
It's like so the Golden Globes I think are pretty useless.
Golden Globes was the other one I was thinking of, yeah.
But we talk about it every
also
year.
Politics completely.
We talk about it every year and we have these conversations. It's because we give it weight. If we just stopped talking about it, it would go away.
But you know what? Golden Globes they at least know that
they got it more right this year than the Oscars. I'll say that.
They at least know they're a TV product, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Where the Oscars for the longest
they're glitzy.
time.
The Oscars are very like, this is official.
They're also so bought. Like you can
Yes.
actually see when you can see wins where you go, oh, who paid for that? Where
you talking
go,
about the Golden Globes?
Yeah.
Yes.
And there was and the Golden Globes. We'll see if they're around next year because they're under some hot water.
And we'll talk about that too. But what about for you, Matthew? Like, let's talk about like what is it for? I'm very official with your name.
I do. I know. I love it.
He likes Matthew. No, he likes Matthew.
No, Matthew's great.
Okay. What is it about?
I can call him Matt.
What is it about the Oscars for you? What were some of your earliest memories of you watching that you were like, for whatever reason, it just felt different?
Because this is such a cliche.
What was the first Oscar? This is a question somebody asked me. What was the first Oscars you think that you remember?
I don't
have no
remember.
idea.
I can tell you. The first season that I followed, but yeah, go ahead.
I think it's a cliche answer, especially as somebody who like studied performance and like does stuff in the entertainment industry or whatever. It's like, I want it, you want to make your speech, you want to go do that thing. It's like a childish like little dream of like, that never seems real. And then when you get to see that genuine like reaction of somebody, I think we live for moments like Daniel Kaluuya, where people come up and he had no idea what he was going to do. You can see like, he's like, maybe he prepared a few things. He's like, okay, here are the things if I win, I'm going to say, but he was like, oh, it's probably going to go somewhere else, or it might go yada, yada, yada. And then he gets up there and it's just like, this is a dream. I can't process this. And you feel that emotion and the stakes. Yeah. There's like a stakes to it that if you invest emotionally, it's very thrilling and very riveting. Yep.
But it is a lot of, but the Oscars too are a lot of campaigning.
Of course.
It's a lot of,
it's when you see the ugly sort of backside of it. Yeah. It's like, you're like,
especially when you when you cover the industry actively, like you see like, Netflix is sending out the coffee table books and they're having the
also the flip side
parties
of like social reflection.
The Academy banned that now. You can't solicit
Nor
voters.
should you. You shouldn't be able to buy voters.
But Detroit Film Critics Society, we'll still get scars.
Yeah, so I agree with you guys. I think, some of my earliest memories.
It's just like it's like Rotten Tomatoes. It's like, well, it may not be the best system, but it's the one we have. It's the same with the Oscars.
Yeah, but it always goes back to the movies, right? You watch these movies that used to feel like these powerful performances. It always starts there. To me, it started with HBO, right? You're watching HBO late at night. I'm 10, 11, 12 years old, and I'm just enthralled by SNL.
Yeah.
I'm enthralled by somebody's performance. And then you're like, oh, there's this award show that compares, and you're like, I saw that movie. I want to see who's going to beat who in that, But then you add that layer on, and then it's like the longevity and the history. And as much as I hated the fact that Leonardo DiCaprio didn't win forever, because I thought he was deserving in so many years.
And The Revenant wasn't his best performance. It's the award. It's like, it's his due.
But that's where I started turning on it.
Yep.
Yes.
That's
and
hard.
Not only,
but I'm still going to obsess about it and talk about it every year.
Yes, you're going to have to, because it's part of your
It's
world.
the Chadwick conversation, right? We should gotta have it.
And we will open up the next segment with that. So you guys stay with us. We'll be back on the other side here. Bobby Talks ... You know why they're there. Thanks, guys. Hey, welcome back, everybody, to Bobby Talks ... You know why those dots are there. Sitting here with Matthew Porter and Nate Adams of theonlycritic.com. Hey, guys, I appreciate you being here. I didn't say that earlier.
Thanks for having us. I'm excited to be here.
I'm having a blast.
We were kind of in the middle of an Oscar talk, and we wanted to finish that up. And one thing that I wanted to get into was I I wrote down politics, right? You can't have a Bobby Talks without politics. No, it's not. Here's the problem with people think it's politics. It's real life. It's what's happening. It's human, right? Yep. So I'm not sitting here trying to get too deep with it, but I want to ask you guys, you were talking about the Twitter world and how toxic it was.
It's very toxic.
I kind of love it. You kind of love it, right?
I don't know.
I do not, but I get what you're saying.
It hurts.
I kind of want to ask you guys your opinion on this. If I'm a casual fan, and I'm like, oh, the Oscars are on. Kids, come in, the Oscars.
Well, if you're a casual fan, you weren't watching it this year.
No, you weren't.
Oh my gosh.
Maybe we should talk about the Oscars this year before I ask my question.
Yeah.
Let's talk about this year's Oscars. 2021 Oscars. First of all, what do you think of the setup?
The Oscars this year, it wasn't a total, like, the nominees, for, like, the first time in, like, in a long time, it kind of felt like, oh, wow, there's a wide range of talent here, diversity. The films kind of reflected that. You had Judas and the Black Messiah, Sound of Metal, Paul, it's just things that in a normal year probably wouldn't have got nominated. Like Paul Raci for Sound of Metal, great performance, but that's the kind of thing that in a normal year when big movies are coming out, that would have got overlooked for something flashier like Sylvester Stallone and Creed.
Yeah, gotcha.
And he should listen. That was a great film, but the point stands is that like a lot of underseen gems kind of got elevated a little bit, which is good, but it's bad, right? You talk about casual fans. It's like you need that Black Panther, you need that Joker or Get Out because people know that what those films are. But then you get something in there like Aroma. Or 12 Years a Slave and Minari, things like that. You got to have the big debate. It's like the Marvel movies, as much as like we talk about how Marvel, blah, blah, blah. But, what Marvel does is it keeps the lights on at those bigger theaters so the Minaris of the world can play in them. There's a
place for all of them.
You need both.
Yes.
Well, there's a transition happening in Marvel too, right? We're not to get into the Marvel Cup, but just to say like, with a lot of blockbuster type franchises where they're becoming like also acting vehicles.
Yes.
So you're saying like...
Or Chloe Zhao, who's now an Oscar winner directing Eternals.
You're bringing Natalie Portman, an Oscar winner, back to Thor, right? You're bringing people back because they see the value of not just like the blockbuster, but they're like,
even
I get
Taika Waititi
interesting
Thor
role.
Yeah.
I get a fun, well-written role.
But as far as like the... Oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say though, that we talk about this all the time and I'm kind of I hate the era that we're in.
I know he does not like superhero films.
Like superhero.
Well, it's not just superhero films. Like I'm
franchises,
and I'm actually turning back to a point where I'm glad they're here because you said they keep the lights on. I hate the Netflix world that we live in. I hate the streaming platforms. I hate that HBO Max is showing something that's the same day has it in the theaters.
Yeah.
Right now, especially during this time. I get it. It's all money talks and money talks at the end.
But if Warner Brothers
it's not COVID, it's money, and I'm not sure it's ever going back.
Well, it's streaming dollars too. But
it's streaming dollars.
If Warner Brothers they're 45% of the marketplace right now. If Warner Brothers didn't make the decision that they did, like theaters would be struggling because Godzilla vs Kong made like $50 million. Like if that,
but isn't that a point to that people are starving for movies to be in theaters?
It was a perfect storm. Yes, no, absolutely, and that's why next year they're not doing that. They're going 45 days exclusive.
How did Mortal Kombat do?
Okay, Mortal Kombat did good.
These are movies that
$22 million.
Let me tell you why. Because I have no interest in Godzilla vs Kong. I have no interest in Mortal Kombat. But I'm there at the theater to watch them. Why? Because there was a trailer on my TV, and that made it feel like an event. Right now, there's no movie trailers on my TV, and if there is, it is Netflix brand. Then you got to go Netflix, and it doesn't feel like an event. When you go to the movies, it's an event. It's a date. It's a going out. It's a happening. It's a thing you do.
And that was missing this year. And that's kind of like none of these films that were nominated were event pictures.
No.
But they were somber, intimate dramas that I think the closest nominee on there that got to like a mainstream, like perfect crowd pleaser, like not perfect, like depending on you ask, but like it was Trial of the Chicago 7 was the closest.
That would have done.
If this was 10 years ago, that would have won Best Picture.
That would have won Best Picture.
Also think about this, if not for COVID and with the current like political climate moment we're having with like Black Lives Matter and all that stuff as well. Imagine like that coming out this past summer if we could go into theaters.
Yes.
That would have been an insane, I mean, just like their box office. The timeliness of it wasn't
COVID
incredible.
Absolutely impacted. I'm not downplaying COVID.
It gave them I get what you're saying. It gave them an out, right?
It gave them an out that they've been looking for.
It was coming for a long time, and this gave it to them. You're right. They were looking for that.
I'm afraid it's never coming back.
It's not. I hope I'm wrong. The window is shattered. Like the way that we could consume content now and how quickly movies come from theaters to home will never be the same.
If I had my way, gentlemen, I'd say, hey, are we going to the movie Saturday? We dress up, we go to dinner, and we
You want to make it
movie.
like the theater.
Make it a night.
Yeah.
It's an event, and it doesn't have to be a big event picture, but it's the event of going to the
And that's
theater.
why you need those smaller house
Make a night
indie,
of it.
like the main art in Royal Oak
Yes,
or the
yes.
Michigan
I
Theater
love the main art in
downtown.
Royal Oak.
Yeah,
I grew up going to the main art
Yes,
with my father. That
the
was
Maple
how
Theater.
I bonded with that
I
theater.
hosted an event at the Maple Theater Secret Cinema a couple weeks ago.
See,
and
this is meaningful shit to people. Like exactly,
Yes.
you're saying it's a meaningful ritual to go to the theater and
Yes.
laugh with people or cry with people.
The number one leisure activity in the country is movie theaters.
Yes, and you
everybody
just-
goes to the movies. Everybody.
Christmas Day is like the number one day of the year. right?
Crazy. Yes, it is the busiest. It's the highest grossing day.
I've always wanted some of my best Christmas memories are like thinking about how I was like, oh, if I had a family too, I would do this every year. Like when I was a kid, if we could go
Presents
to movies
in the morning.
Yeah.
You do the whether you're a lunch dinner or a dinner
Yeah.
whatever, but you move the movies around that. You're at movies at
and
night.
I'm missing that. I miss that, man. I miss going. The
community
I
of
miss
it.
going to the movie theater on Christmas Day and like the line was out the door.
Yes.
And like going to see I saw like Les Mis on Christmas Day, the remake, and that was like we had to sit in the front row.
What was the last movie you've been to that was sold out?
that was sold out? Probably Avengers
God.
Endgame.
I guess that makes sense.
Yeah, it has to be.
For
Like
me, it
the-
would be a little bit harder because I don't see those.
Like a movie that was like wall. I mean, I go to screenings sometimes, and maybe it was The Force Awakens. It could have been we saw The Force or the last Star Wars movie.
how do you compete with convenience though? How do you compete with
event
these?
pictures, like you said, because
But does it have
Godzilla vs
to
Kong
just
was
be-
available at home and more people saw it in theaters.
Convenience.
But I saw the movie, and the movie was. I mean,
premium. I think the premium. I think the $30. I think the
I won't
Disney
do it
model.
again. I won't do it again.
I think the Disney model is something that will push people into the theater. It's like if you're going to charge me $30 to rent
Yes.
Mulan
Or
at
Black
home,
Widow, yeah.
bye. I'll go to the theater and see it. I want the experience.
It just depends.
Sure.
And Black Widow is going to be a good testing point for that because that's a Marvel property, major. So like we'll see what that does. Versus
Well, there's
the
people.
at-home
There's
viewing
people in the
component.
industry, right? Nate, correct me if I'm wrong, but there's people in the industry who want to like make sure that it's like say, okay, we'll accept that this is changed for good. However, put a premium on at home so
Yeah.
that people, if you're going to buy
You're
it,
going to
like
make the choice.
you're going
Yeah.
to make the choice. You're going to sit home. You're going to pay a lot of money to do this. You're going to pay what you would pay at the movie theater in concessions.
It's like
et cetera.
drive-through. You're paying for convenience, not the quality.
But the problem I think with that model of what you're saying is that if I'm somebody that's not really going to go to the theater,
Yeah.
and I would have paid a normal price to watch
You
it,
push people away.
and now I'm not going to watch it at all.
the people
Yeah.
that are going to go to the movies are going to go to the movies regardless. That's not going to change. It's right that middle ground.
It's that middle ground, and I guess I'm fighting for the middle ground of people, which I'm a diehard, so I'm going to the theater.
But back to the Oscars.
Yes, let's go back to the Oscars.
I want to say the first campaign, the first season I remember following was 2006, and The Departed won Best Picture, and I was 11. I remember, and I followed.
Are you a
it.
rat?
Are you, and like I remember,
you a co-op?
I remember.
Are you a co-op?
Are you a co-op?
Are you a
I remember
fucking
seeing.
co-op?
I remember seeing Mark Wahlberg winning Best Supporting Actor. That was kind of cool.
Oh, God.
And then
Leo was nominated for 2 Oscars that year. It didn't win
How
out
many
one.
has
Blood
he been
Diamond
nominated
and
for?
Departed.
Yeah, and he
I
lost
don't
both
know,
of them.
a lot. I remember.
Was that Milk? What won that year?
No, Departed won Best.
No.
Oh,
I mean
actor.
Actor.
Did Sean Penn win for Milk?
Did Sean Penn win for Milk that year?
That Milk was 2008. So Milk was later.
I don't remember.
2006. What would that have been?
But look at the politics. Not to also talk about politics, but the politics have always been in like the Oscars, and that's something. But it's getting to a point where
It's every speech.
it's not just every speech. It's like we don't have the space to occupy. I was talking to Nate about this. I said there's something like, and forgive the P word, there's like trauma porn happening in Oscars in cinema, but in any content right now.
Trauma porn is everywhere.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so it's not that it's
exploitive.
not that there's exploitative. Yeah, there's not. It's not that I don't agree with wanting and needing to see the urgency of a lot of these voices expressing what they need to express. It's rather even people from these communities are coming out and like outcry as being, I'm tired of watching people of color die on screen viciously.
It's why a movie like My Octopus Teacher won Best Documentary Feature.
People are craving
over something that like Time, which was a very topical film about the justice system, a black man who was like in
Dude.
prison. And did you see Time?
You know what I've been but yeah.
But it's like My Octopus Teacher won because people wanted to feel. They just like this made me feel something.
You know what I was
not
watching?
upset.
You know what I was watching throughout our prep for our Oscar week when I was gonna watch all the other Oscar stuff too. You know, this stupid show. You guys mentioned a movie called The Circle. A stupid show called The Circle
Yes,
on
on
Netflix.
Netflix.
That is the
Comfort food.
dumbest show in the world. So dumb. But I need to turn my brain off because
Yes,
of how much empathizing I'm doing all the time. And it's not that
Absolutely.
it's important to always be empathizing, but it's like, I was talking to Nate about, I'm like, we need, what I think revives the Oscars is our genre categories. I think you need a comedy genre at the Oscars.
I think you do too.
Yeah.
I really don't know why they don't. I mean, I guess drama doesn't have to take.
We need a stunt work too. Best stunts.
Stunts as well. That's just for the industry.
I think they could do more. Like you could spend another 10 minutes on comedy, and I hate to say this, but because it is a TV show.
Well, historically speaking, like no comedy, like how there's a handful of comedies that have won the Oscar for Best Picture.
There's just some genres that like they're like, oh, we got to get through.
There's a difference between like a meaningful message of like support and unity and virtue signaling until you can't anymore.
Let's organize this a little bit, because I think what we're talking about is, so at the end of the day, just so we're clear, if the most uncomfortable I am is I'm a little annoyed with another speech, right? And that's just me speaking freely, right? It's just it's a gut reaction, because you can't listen to every single speech from every single person so intently and be like, oh, that's the first, it's so profound. First time I've heard that, right? We're not wired that way. But if you kind of have to be better than yourself, you kind of have to move yourself back a little bit and say, if the most uncomfortable I am is that I have to put up with these speeches, versus what other people that are really experiencing these things go through, that's that privileged part. But I'm just asking the question of, are you supposed to watch the Oscars for the escape of your reality, or is it supposed to be there? And that's the argument of sports and politics. At what point should they interject, and at what point shouldn't they?
That's a question of all art. Should art only make you feel good or only make you feel bad? I don't think there's a universal black or white.
I think the Oscars, though, are known for, there is that level of escapism, and I think that was missing this year because they only showed clips. They didn't give people a taste of what they were missing.
They always have their Hollywood movie, right?
And this year, especially, what the Oscars was missing was, and Frances McDormand was actually the only one in her speech that
loved her speech.
It said about, see our movie on the biggest screen. Like, they should have been like, we need to give back to movies. We need to celebrate artists. We need to do this. And instead, we're rushing through the in memoriam segment, and we're banking on a last minute switcheroo of the categories because we hope Chadwick Boseman is going to win Best Actor.
Oh my God.
And listen. That was not, it was gutsy, and they knew
so
it.
So exploitative.
I had a feeling.
But TV's exploitative, so
I
mean, it's exploitative, and I get it. But
so is reality TV. Yeah,
and
exactly.
I had a feeling, I had a feeling that an upset was brewing for Anthony Hopkins to pull the upset, and I mentioned this.
You said that before the Oscars the night of.
I jinxed it because what was happening was I go down these rabbit holes. I put a lot of thought in my predictions, and Chadwick Boseman. What ended up happening was he peaked too early. If the award season had happened when they normally happen, like in February, he would have won.
Well, he also passed away.
Yeah, but I'm just saying that like the extended season went too long, and then what happened was that voters were thinking, well, Chadwick's going to win. I'm going to vote for Anthony Hopkins. And what happened is, it's like voting, right? Like, one vote doesn't matter.
Right.
Enough people were like, oh, well, he's going to win anyway.
Actually.
So let me just vote for Anthony Hopkins as my number one, and then. Sure and behold, that's what happened.
But let me ask this question. I did not see what movie was it again that he was
Father. Chadwick Boseman was nominated for Ma Rainey's Black Bottom.
Yes, I have not seen the film, so I'm going to ask you this question because it always happens, right? Heath Ledger died, and then all of a sudden,
it's a precedent.
Now I've seen his performance, and I was like, wow, you can tell me that might be the greatest performance ever made. I can go that route. Right?
So you're saying like if Heath Ledger had not died?
I'm asking you, is Chadwick Boseman?
This is an argument we had.
Did he deliver an Oscar performance?
Yeah.
Or did he die during a time in a very sad, tragic way that pulls on our heartstrings, that says we've got it? And this is where the Oscars have kind of lost it for me the last 5-6 years, is when they start doing these consolation prizes or these feel-good stories, and it's not about the art anymore. So I'm asking,
it's a reality television show.
Did he deliver an Oscar performance?
But so did Anthony Hopkins. So that's why. And the thing I'm not mad about is I know Chadwick Boseman wouldn't be sweating it if he lost.
I didn't see either one. So
Ma Rainey's Black Bottom is a part of August Wilson's play cycles that Denzel is producing. They're all like narratively some of the best things ever written.
Really?
So like I don't know if any of those coming out will ever flop, knock on wood, but I feel like they'll always be incredible.
Chadwick Boseman commands it's called Ma Rainey's Black Bottom.
But listen, here's the thing. I will agree with you, Nate, to the total extent that Chadwick Boseman gave an Oscar-worthy performance. He should have been nominated. The trouble I had was I felt too that Anthony Hopkins' performance this year was better.
No,
I agreed. Let me just say, I agreed. However, I thought that Chadwick Boseman's performance of 42 was better and should have won that. I thought he should have won for Black Panther.
And
I
it was
thought he
kinda-
should have.
yeah.
So it was a
And
moment where
Hopkins already has an Oscar.
it was a moment where I said exactly. It was a moment where I said I predicted for Chadwick to win, and I wanted him to win because I was like, you know what, we've set a precedent with Heath Ledger. I thought there were other performances Heath Ledger's here that could have been. You could have
Really?
said, yeah, I do, because it's like. Here's the thing, like, and then on the flip side, like then Chadwick doesn't win for Black Panther. It's like, we're setting a precedent on like based on posthumous awards. We're gonna like only award things because people are.
So this breaks that precedent. Then it makes
It breaks the
breaks
precedent.
it.
But my question is though, is that
It also
just because
confirms
it's
that producers-
actor's best piece of work, you're comparing it to other actors that year's best piece of work.
Sure.
So what is better? So that's where my argument comes from. So like you were talking about when Leo won for The Revenant, that wasn't his
Not
best piece of
better,
work in your
no.
opinion.
Well, and also if we're talking about like what my best
Well, should've
performance,
won that
best
year.
male performance, I said Vanessa Kirby was my favorite actress of the year. But I mean, if we're talking about like Delroy Lindo and Defy Bloods,
Yeah, hold on. Laura Dern for Marriage Story winning an Oscar. You're like, that's the biggest one too. It's like she's given plenty of incredible performances
But that was
across her
yeah.
career.
Right.
It's all about the campaigning too and the momentum. It's all
It's about the movie and the names.
Momentum
like Scarlett
is huge.
And,
Momentum is huge. All right, let's transition then. I actually thought the Oscars looked pretty cool.
Well, and
The way
Steven
that they
Soderbergh
started
tried to make it like a movie, and then they gambled. Now, if Chadwick Boseman had won at the end, that's fine. But trust me, when your show goes off the rails like that, you don't want
It just ended,
Joaquin
right?
Phoenix, because Joaquin Phoenix just didn't look like he wanted to be there because he doesn't
course
want
he
to be
didn't
there.
want to be there. Because he
doesn't want
And
to
he
be
comes
there.
out, he's like, well, they want me to say these things about these actors. And so when Renee Zellweger comes out, gives him passion
I
pleas
know.
for all the
And
nominees,
then-
Joaquin Phoenix is like, I'm not going to do any of that.
Yeah, they were all
here are the
great.
nominees. And then he just, it was so anticlimactic. Anthony Hopkins, the father, the Academy accepts the okay, see you later.
It was the
I
biggest
prefer
like
the end.
deflation.
Yeah.
It was
at
the. It was.
end.
I think it was arguably worse than the Moonlight La La Land mix-up.
Yeah, it was
worse.
pretty bad.
They really need to end with the movie.
And,
That's really-
and,
that's-
and guess
that's-
what? It'll
yeah.
never happen again. It will always end on
Yeah.
Best Picture because
Totally,
of that.
totally agree.
Yeah.
All right, so ladies and gentlemen, you might not know this about me,
Are you
but
on Letterboxd?
what's that?
You on Letterboxd?
Oh, I'm on Letterboxd. Follow me, baby.
Hey.
So you might not know this, but I'm a lot of things. I'm an athletic director. I'm a dean of students. I'm a varsity basketball coach. I'm a landscaper, lawn mower. I'm a Bobby Talks podcast host. Oh, by the way, I'm a full-time teacher. So I have a lot of different hats. So getting to the movies now, especially with COVID and all the things that have been going down, getting to the movies is very difficult for me to do. And going through Netflix and going through the rabbit hole, because I'm not watching Netflix originals right now. I'm on a, I'm
that way too.
hypocrite.
I'm
a
not
hypocrite.
watching TV shows. I'm trying to catch up on movies that I haven't seen. My quarantine
I
catch up
love
hashtag.
your quarantine catch up that we talked about last time. I love that. What I did and what I'm doing right now, because it takes me so long to find a movie that I end up tapping out and I end up watching old TV that I've watched 1,000 times, right? What I decided to do, and this is the first person I've done this with, Steven Spielberg. I said, I'm going to choose a director and I'm going to watch him chronologically in order from the first movie they made all the way to the end. And
Which is
that way
smart.
you just pick. It's pick for
That's
you.
fascinating.
Right? So we
It's
started
like,
with
I'm committing to this.
Steven Spielberg. I started with him, and you kind of get to see the
Lost World above Temple of Doom. Bold.
So hang on.
Bold.
We get a
Bold.
Relax, Nathaniel.
So that's kind of where we're going. So I just wanted to paint the picture here. So what we're going to be doing is I'm going to kind of quickly go through some of these.
I do like Crystal Skull though. I'm glad you gave it a little. That movie gets shed on, and it's a shame it does.
I agree, and we'll talk a little
It's
bit. We'll
because
just pick
Shia
a
LaBeouf,
few.
isn't it?
It's because Shia LaBeouf. But what I want to do is I want to really break down my top 10, and I'll give you some reasons, and you guys just say, I hate your list, I understand your list, or it is what it is. There is going to be some disclaimers along the way. I didn't see a lot of his films until I was 34 years old, 33 years
Well,
old.
dude, you saw my quarantine cat. I mean, I saw people are like, you're a film
No,
critic.
yeah.
I know
I'm not
Spielberg.
like-
I love Spielberg. I've seen a lot of his films. He's got 30.
Dude, it all goes back to like when I grew up. These aren't the things I was watching. Of
course.
I didn't take cinema seriously when I was an adolescent in high school. I
Right.
was
Of
like,
course.
show me a broad Jim Carrey,
Yes.
Seth Rogen comedy. That's all I want to see.
Yeah.
I wasn't watching Clueless or like, let me go down this Stanley Kubrick rabbit hole when I was 13.
When you're 13. Well, I kind
And
of
my
did when I was
parents-
13. That's kind of when you started. But
No, yeah. But my parents, these movies weren't
Yes.
on in my household. They're like,
No,
want to watch Grown Ups for the fifth
I'll give you a
time?
perfect example. My buddy just asked me, he's like, hey, I'm doing a podcast. I'd like you to be on. Let's talk about a film. I go, oh, great. Which one do you want to talk about? You want to talk about Heavyweights, The Big Green? You want to talk about Rookie of the Year? Which one was it? You know?
It's like, I want to talk about Citizen Kane.
Yeah, he wants to talk about those. So, but that kind of gives you an idea. So we're here. We're gonna go with 31 through 24 because that's what the screen's
Did you
gonna
see
show
Bridge
you.
of Spies? You're just not ranking it?
I did see Bridge of Spies.
Bridge of Spies is so good.
Oh, I'm not sure why it's not ranked down there. I did, and I would have ranked that probably at like a 3.5, to be honest with you.
I love Bridge of Spies. Good late Spielberg.
So right here, I'm just gonna name these off real quick. Number 31 through 24, at the bottom of the list, just for our listeners. You got the BFG at 31, 30 Bridge of Spies, 29.
Big fucking giant.
Oh my God.
That's a completely different animation. The BFG at 31, Bridge
Strange
of Spies
film.
at 30, 29 is 1941, 28 is actually Steven Spielberg's directorial debut, The Sugarland Express in 1974. 27 is Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom. Number 26 is Empire of the Sun, which if you don't know, that's a young Christian Bale there. 25 is The Lost World, Jurassic Park, done in 1997. 24 is Adventures of Tintin.
I love Tintin.
Quick reaction. Give me 30 seconds of what like you can't believe is this low, or what you think we're on par.
Ready?
So far.
Let me go first because mine will be the easiest.
Sure.
I haven't seen any of these movies.
Really interesting. Okay.
Yeah. So right along with you, I'm also not as well versed in Spielberg as I thought. So
Yeah, that is because I knew kind of his resume was big. So
Yeah.
I was like, let me start here, and then we'll go from there.
let's say this. I'm sure I've seen bits and pieces of Temple of Doom and of Lost World.
But you wouldn't be able to call them out from Temple of Doom.
Nope.
You wouldn't be able. Yep.
No.
I'm not gonna
Nathaniel.
shame you because I've been recently catching up with stuff too. Love Tintin. I'm a big Tintin fan. I remember when it came out, I was like made fun of like you're gonna go see Tintin, but it's like why don't you watch Tintin? And then
it's
like
great.
you'll see like when I saw it in 3D, I remember being like, do you see this is just what Spielberg does.
Do you know that Paddington 2 just surpassed Citizen Kane
Kane,
on
yes.
the all-time list?
Oh, that just makes me want to vomit. Continue.
Lost World. Pretty high up there. What's your beef with Temple of Doom?
First of all, this is the low points, so we're talking high up there in the loser bracket.
That's
basically.
true, but and maybe it's because we didn't grow up watching it, but like maybe this is what Lost World, Jurassic Park, Tintin. They kind of have that recency bias where it's like the aurora or like the legacy of Indiana Jones. It's like it doesn't impact us as much as because we weren't watching it all the time. Whereas somebody who grew up cracking the whip, they're like, oh my gosh, Indiana Jones, how could you? So it's like I get it.
I do have an autocorrection. You're right. I see what the issue is with this right here. For some reason, Bridge of Spies would not be in the bottom of this list.
Right.
These two have not been rated for some reason, so they haven't been put in the ranking, but they've been put in the ranking. It just must not have
So have
saved.
you finished all of Spielberg's
All of them.
movies?
I've finished them all. So Bridge of Spies would actually be higher on this list.
Let's go.
So
See some more.
1941 would be my worst Spielberg movie. I don't know if you guys have seen this.
No.
But
haven't.
it's supposed to be, it was like a comedy. It was a satire movie of like if war took place in America during 1941, and it had Belushi in it, and it's a really kind of like a very physical comedy.
Ooh.
Not good.
Not good.
Not good. It wants to be great, and it was Spielberg's first go about with comedy.
Isn't that insane? How
Yeah.
like something like you think perfect Spielberg Belushi?
Yeah, it's gotta work.
Yeah.
Yeah. Didn't work. All right, let's go for 23. We'll continue on here. Let me get my mouse over here. There we go. 23, Indiana Jones and the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull. I gave it 3.5, and that's kind of where, from here on out, Spielberg movies, just like that's their base. Out of 5 stars, it's like, okay, this deserves a 3.5.
It's like, is this just okay Spielberg, or is this like really?
And
good
it's
Spielberg?
very hard to kind of debate
You have
Spielberg.
some 5 Spielbergs, right? Or do you know?
I do, yes.
Okay.
I do. 23, Indiana Jones and Kingdom of the Crystal Skull. Number 22, The Post.
Oh.
Number 21, some people's cult favorite. A lot of people like Artificial Intelligence. I thought it was just, it had some really good moments. But
I like The Post. I think maybe a little bit more than you gave it, but
Okay.
it was. I get it.
fair,
I get it.
Fair. Number 20, Munich.
Just watched that last year too, Munich.
Really good.
Yeah,
Really good.
Eric Bana doesn't get enough credit for a lot. Oh, War of the Worlds.
Number 19, War of the Worlds.
War of the Worlds would be up there higher for me.
Really?
Top 10.
Okay.
Easy.
Easy.
It's probably my top.
It
War
was
of
a
the Worlds.
huge movie that summer.
Yeah, 2006 probably. That was your Departed one.
Yeah.
2005.
Was that War of the Worlds? Was that Brad Pitt?
That was
Tom
Tom
Cruise.
Cruise.
Tom Cruise.
Tom Cruise.
Oh, so good.
Continuing on.
I just watched that movie. 10-year anniversary just came, or no, a 15-year anniversary.
15 year. Yeah, that's right. The Terminal, number 18. So this is kind of I just think Tom Hanks, this is why he's so good, because
he can make a bad movie.
You're talking to the right guy.
He made a bad movie very, very good. I mean, this thing was entertaining.
It's weird.
And it wasn't
so strange.
Yeah, and you're thinking, a guy that gets stuck in an airport.
He pulls off the accent though.
He does, and not just that. It's like you are literally like you feel for this guy.
I have seen this. Oh my gosh! I feel bad that a lot of Spielberg movies are forgettable.
No, that's true.
But that's because he has so many. They're not forgettable. They're forgettable compared to Spielberg.
Yes.
When you get to the top 10 here, the top 12, you're gonna be like, when you see my
E.T. is
honorable
the
mentions,
most iconic film. I think one of the most iconic films.
Let's keep going then. You said E.T. is the most iconic film. It didn't make my top 10.
Wow.
Yeah, E.T. didn't. Yeah, I'm not.
Number
It wouldn't be in your top 10?
Dude,
Amistad.
I watched Amistad. So I actually went and saw Amistad recently in theater. I went $5 and it was showing it. And I was like, I've never seen Amistad. I'm gonna go see it in a theater. Boring as shit.
Boring as shit. Boring as shit.
It was a long historical drama, but I was like, oh, Matthew McConaughey, Anthony Hopkins,
Morgan Freeman.
I was like,
yes.
And then I was sitting there, and Aaron was with me, Treadway, our friend Treadway, and we were just like, that was boring.
So what this does here is this is kind of the good and the bad, right? So Spielberg,
You got it high up there for a movie that's boring as shit.
well, that's the problem. He's made 33 films. That's 17, right? So wait till you keep seeing these. But we'll continue on. He just polishes things a little too cleanly, right?
Yeah.
Number 16, you've got Close Encounters of the Third Kind.
Of course.
And then we crack our top 15 here
we go.
with E.T. Wow. I got to tell you, I didn't
fair.
see E.T. until last year.
Me too.
If I was a child, this would probably be my top
I saw it
10.
at the drive-in last summer, first time.
I saw it as
did
a
I.
kid.
And it would be in your top 10.
It would be my top
It was
10.
very impactful for you.
And there it is.
That makes sense.
All right, we'll continue on. Number 14, we got Raiders of the Lost Ark, which is the first installment of Indiana Jones.
I don't know if I've ever sat down and watched all of Raiders of the Lost Ark.
Do you know
in one
why?
piece.
Saw it in IMAX.
So
good.
Harrison Ford is amazing, right? The story is really, really great. But here's the problem.
What's the problem?
It's just him pulling off crazy stunts the whole time. And
But for 1981, that's pretty remarkable.
And I take that into consideration. But again, I didn't see this film until
Still
I
in
was
the top
33 years
15,
old.
yeah.
So I kind of have this bias of where movies are at today.
Spectacle
That's true.
isn't-
Things are.
yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's great, and I love the dynamic between him and I believe it's Karen Allen. They go back and forth.
Wait until Minority Report gets up here. Is that coming? Oh, number 12.
Number 13, Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade. I actually found
the
that one to
last
be the
one is
most.
the best.
I thought that was the second to last, the penultimate. I thought that was the most interesting, right?
Interesting.
And number 12, Minority Report.
Oh my God, you're drop man.
Minority.
The Tom Cruise Spielberg collaborate. I'm a big Tom Cruise fan,
Yeah.
and both of those are in my top 10. Minority
They're both.
Report.
Are you
and
sure?
Lawrence.
I'm sure there's a couple on here that you're going to kick off.
Love Minority Report.
Here we go, ladies and gentlemen. Number 11, the last one out before we break in is Jaws. That is not by any means is that
Controversial.
very controversial. By no means is this a marketing thing on my half here to get us into the Spotify listeners. But number 11 is Jaws. So what I want to do is let's take the last 2 minutes here.
Yeah.
Before we go to Spotify.
Yeah.
So if you want to get Robert Gifford's top 10 Spielberg movies, you're going to have to go to Spotify. But I want to know, what was your thoughts about Jaws? Jaws is number 11 here, but do you have to take in consideration the year that it came out and how much it still holds?
Jaws was the first summer blockbuster that showed that movies can make money on an opening weekend, because back then they did platform releases where movies would gradually come from city to city and you'd build up an opening weekend. Jaws was the first one. It's like, we're going to try releasing it everywhere at once. And then everybody went and saw it and it's like, oh, this works.
And they got
now that's why we have summer blockbusters. So it's instrumental in that way. I actually just watched it again for the first time. I couldn't finish it when I was a kid because I was actually terrified. And that it's graphic, kind of.
Yeah,
like,
it is.
there's a
It's
scene,
very graphic.
The kid gets eaten by the shark. He's swimming. I'm like, oh my God! Now I don't understand why I never finished this. If I'd like to swim, and this is terrifying.
And it shows, but Richard Dreyfuss, how
score,
great
right?
he is. Yep.
Richard Dreyfuss
the
is
score,
good.
Richard Dreyfuss.
For me, I also what I think Jaws works so well is I love when we don't see what's the antagonist.
And
Maybe
Spielberg
one
did
of
a very
the
good job
first
of that.
movies where the score is like one of the best parts too of the movie, where it's like, if you don't have the score, do you think the movie's as good?
No, because you can't. The part of the reason is because the shark looked kind of fake. Now,
Yeah,
right. The score helps that,
So we
yeah.
can't. We don't want to give it away
Integral.
because as soon as you see what it is, it loses its luster. You know, I love movies where like Cloverfield.
Yeah.
Love that because we don't know what it is. I don't know what this thing is attacking.
I like it to a certain extent. Paranormal Activity.
I don't want to
and
compare
the Blair Witch Project.
We're comparing apples to
here.
oranges
Yeah, I
here.
know.
Jaws and Cloverfield, but you get the idea. I love not seeing what's attacking me.
All right, so here's what we're going to do. We're going to get to the top 10 on Spotify. I'm sitting here with Matthew Porter. We just lost film, but I got video here. I'm sitting here with Nate Adams, Matthew Porter. Guys, I can't appreciate you enough for being on Bobby Talks, episode 3 of the new season. I hope you had fun.
It's been a great time.
Yeah, it flies, doesn't it? It goes by quick.
I was like, oh my goodness, we were going to talk about so many things.
So here's what we're going to do. Everybody go to Spotify, check us out, click on that link. It'll be on the Facebook, it'll be on Instagram, anywhere you can find me. It'll be on Twitter, it'll be on TikTok. Anything you can find me, click on that link. We'll take you to Spotify. All right, thank you. Top 10, are you guys ready?
Yeah.
Yes.
All right, here we go.